This evening, I shall give the instructions how to practice mindfulness and develop wisdom or insight knowledge. This meditation is known as Satipaṭṭhāna Bhavana. The word bhavana means mental training or mental culture or mental developments. Vipassana is a compound word. Vipassana means right understanding or realizations through personal experience. The word "we" usually refers to the three common characteristics of mental and physical phenomena, or nama and rupa in Pali. So, in other words, vipassana means the insight knowledge that realizes anicca or impermanence, dukkha unsatisfactory, anatta non-self or no self. So in order to develop such insight knowledge, meditators need to know how to practice Satipaṭṭhāna meditation correctly. Satipaṭṭhāna refers to the practice of the four foundations of mindfulness. So here we practice all the four foundations of mindfulness. It's because there are many mental and physical phenomena that we could observe or perceive in our own mind and body. So there are many different mental phenomena, many physical phenomena that the meditators have to mindful of them as they really occur. So in other words, meditators have to develop mindfulness all the times, from the moment of waking up in the early morning till the moment of falling asleep at night. It's because meditators wish to gain insight knowledge or wisdoms. The cause of arising of insight knowledge is a concentration. In the practice of Satipaṭṭhāna Vipassana Bhavana, meditators need to attain momentary concentration. Sometimes known as Khanika Vipassana Samadhi. Khanika means momentary. Vipassana means insight. Samadhi means meditation. Samadhi means concentration. As some meditators have not yet attained momentary concentration or vipassana concentration, then it's not possible to gain any insight knowledge or experiences of vipassana meditation. So meditators have to put forth effort to develop mindfulness from one movement to next movement. Meditators have to practice all the three aspects of the practice well. During the retreats, meditators have these three aspects of practice. The first aspect is sitting meditation. The second aspect is walking meditation. And the third aspect is mindfulness of your daily routine activities. Besides practicing walking meditation and sitting meditation, meditators also need to be mindful of their daily routine activities. For example, eating your breakfast, lunch, walking from one place to another place. For example, when you walk from the meditation hall to the dining hall, you also need to be mindful of your walking. For example, be mindful and note left, right. So, I believe almost all the meditators here have accumulated some experiences in the practice of Satipaṭṭhāna Vipassana Bhavana. So I shall go through the practical aspects of the practice briefly. Every sitting meditation should be preceded by walking meditation. At the beginning of retreats, you may choose to practice walking meditation at least an hour. So during walking meditation, you have to be mindful of your movements. At the beginning of walking meditation, you may be mindful of your step on left and right for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then you need to slow down your steps so that you can be mindful of more objects, such as lifting, pushing, dropping. On the first day and second day of the retreats, you do not have to be mindful of many objects, for example, lifting, pushing, dropping, touching, pressing, and so on. It's because meditators need to slow down gradually. I believe all of you, most of you could be living a very busy life, walking very fast in your daily life, doing anything at a fast pace. But during the retreats, you need to slow down for the purpose of developing mindfulness. We slow down in order to develop mindfulness. If you do everything quickly, your mind may not be able to catch up with the rapid process or the fast process movements. So that's why in this meditation, meditators are instructed to slow down their actions or movements. But meditators also need to consider the time and the place. It's because you may not be able to slow down very much. For example, when you need to take shower, at the time you are using the facility which is shared with other meditators. So you should learn to be considerate. So at the time you may train yourself to practice general awareness, washing your face, taking shower, and so on. But sometimes you are alone. For example, when you want to pay homage to the Buddha, you are kneeling at your own place. So you may slow down as much possible for the purpose of developing momentum mindfulness. Momentum mindfulness means meditators are able to slow down every process movements gradually, and at the same time they are able to mindful and note a process movements a few times. But on the first day and second day of the retreats, you may not have to note a process movements many times. Because if you want to note the process of movements many times, then you must put forth a lot of effort to control your movements. So when you put forth a lot of effort, this effort is mental effort to control your movements in order to note it in details. You may not able to mindful of the movements well. It's because you need to put forth mental effort to control your movements. At the same time, you also have to make mental noting and pay attention to your movements. So usually, we advise meditators to slow down the process of movements gradually. For example, when you wish to pay homage to the Buddha tomorrow morning, at first you may slow down a process of movements. For example, when you wish to fold your palms, so at the time you do not lift up both hands together. If you lift up both hands together, the mindfulness become aware of two process movements. You can't develop more focused mindfulness. So when we want to practice mindfulness, or when we want to develop momentum mindfulness, we have to choose a suitable time, suitable activity. For example, when you pay homage to Buddha, then you are kneeling at your own place. You can lift up one hand at each time. Perceive the movements and note lifting, about 3 times, lifting. You perceive this touching, you note touching. When you lift out the folded palm, lifting, and so on. In this practice of mindfulness meditation, in accordance with the Mahasi Sayadaw's way, mindfulness of the daily routine activities is very important. Venerable Jamye Saroji also emphasize very much on the practice of mindfulness of daily activities. If meditators wish to make progress in their practice of Satipaṭṭhāna Vipassana Bhavana, then they have to take this aspect of practice, the third aspect of practice, mindfulness in daily routine activities, seriously. You meditators can make progress in their mindfulness of daily routine activities, then they shall begin to make progress in their walking meditation and sitting meditation. But sometimes you may not able to know every process in a few times. I have mentioned just now, for the taking shower, washing your face, and so on. You may learn to practice general mindfulness, be aware of washing your face, turning on the taps, and so on. And when meditators could practice mindfulness of daily routine activities very well, then they could develop constant and continuous mindfulness for longer and longer period of time. So meditators should take seriously the practice of mindfulness of daily routine activities. So besides mindful, meditators have to mindful of their daily routine activities. Then they spend many hours of practicing walking meditation, sitting meditation. So meditators have to choose a walking path, walking up and down. During walking meditation, meditators have to restrain their eyes. If meditators like to look here and there, then it's difficult to concentrate the mind on the development of mindfulness or cultivation of mindfulness. When meditators look here and there, then definitely the mind will go with the eyes. In other words, your attention will go out. In fact, mindfulness, when we explain from the practical aspect, mindfulness means present moment's attention. The attention at this present moment. For example, at this moment, I'm lifting up my hand, so I should pay attention to it and know it's lifting. But it's important to perceive the movements and know it. Perceive means you pay attention to it, you have sensed the movements and know it. Mental noting or labeling is an important tool in this meditation. Mental labeling, for example, when you're mindful of your lifting movements and know it, lifting. The word lifting is merely a word, a concept. It's not meditating. The word, when you're mindful and know lifting, that labeling help you to focus your mind on the movements itself, or to lead you to pay attention to the movements itself. You should not pay attention to the label, like lifting, or during walking you know lifting, pushing, droppings. This label or this word are merely concept. They are not what we call ultimate realities. In the practice of Satipaṭṭhāna Vipassana Bhavana, you want to realize the ultimate realities, the true natures of ultimate realities. So mental noting or labeling is a tool to help meditators to develop mindfulness, so that their mindfulness shall become more attentive, precise and energetic. So meditators, at first they stand at the beginning of walking path, so they have to be mindful of their standing postures. You may mindful of your standing postures and know it a few times, standing. But you should not visualize your postures. In this meditation, we never use the technique of visualization. We do not use the technique of scanning the postures. There are some way of mindfulness meditation where meditators have to scan their postures when they are mindful of their postures, such as sitting or standing. But here we do not use the technique of visualization or scanning. Mindfulness of the postures, the way of mindfulness is very straightforward. You may not have to even spend a few seconds to think about your postures or to imagine your postures. For example, if I ask you a question now, are you sitting on your cushion at this moment? You know it instantly. You do not have to pause 2-3 seconds or few movements to think where you place your hand, your legs, and so on. So that's why the discourse on the practice of four foundation mindfulness say that one knows standing and standing, one knows sitting and sitting. At the beginning of practice, you may not be able to mindful of the objects clearly or any phenomenon clearly. Actually, the phenomenon is very clear, but it's because the mindfulness is not well developed, concentration is not deep enough. So meditators, may not be able to see the object or phenomenon clearly. So meditators need to put forth effort in order to develop their mindfulness. In other words, meditators are able to pay more and more attention to any object or process movements that's occurring at that moment. Like for example, at this moment, as you're mindful of a process movements such as lifting or during walking meditation, be mindful of left, right, and so on. At that moment, you are still conscious of other phenomena. For example, the sound like aircons, maybe the sound of traffic, or if meditators open a door, you may hear the sound of the door, and so on. This because you are not able to pay attention well to an object that's happening or arising in your mind and body. So the word mindfulness actually means full attention or full awareness. So it takes time to develop full attention or full awareness. So in fact, concentration that can be developed by mindfulness meditators is a very deep. It's not superficial. So meditators need to put forth mental effort. Needs to increase the mental effort gradually. So at first, meditators have to mindful of the standing postures. They may know the object or the standing postures about 5 to 10 times, but they should not count how many times they have noted. In this meditation, we never use the technique of counting. Although sometimes we instruct meditators to note the standing postures about 5 to 10 times, but they did not have to count how many times they've noted. Then meditators begin to walk, be mindful of left, right. The stepping should not be too long nor too short. Maybe because I can just do a brief demonstrations. So the stepping is not too long nor too short. It's about a length of foot, left, right. You have to perceive the movements and note it. Perceive means you realize the movement has started, then you can note it. If the movement not started, you cannot note right. That's wrong. And noting or labeling is not a form of command. Sometimes some meditators take the noting as command, right? Then they start to move. So it's not a command. So the stepping is not too long, too short, left. And during walking meditation, if possible, meditators should lock their hands. Lock their hand means hold their hand, putting in front, or at the back. Why we instruct meditators to lock their hands is to minimize unnecessary movements. Sometimes some meditators did not lock their hand. As they walk, either consciously or unconsciously, they swing their arms. That movements will distract their mindfulness on the steps. And during the walking meditation, we have to perceive the movements of foot. We do not perceive the movements of whole legs. We do not perceive the shifting the weights or the body movements. We we put forth enough effort to keep the mindfulness with the food. Stepping is not too long or too short. Walking naturally, do not feel tense or stiff. Sometimes some meditators walk with the very stiff legs. They walk like this. The body also very stiff, not move. They will not feel comfortable. So you walk naturally, slowly, right. Aware there's movements, then you know it. Aware there's movements, then you know it. Aware there's movement, there's no it. Is in according with the teachings of the dependent origination, which if there's a time, we may have chance to listen to about this teaching of dependent origination, because in the practice vipassana meditation, if meditators wish to make progress and able to see or realize anicca, dukkha, anatta clearly, they must realize what they call conditionality or cause and effect clearly. So be mindful of left, right. When you reach the end walking path, you stop naturally. You do not have to mindful step stopping. Once you stop, you mindful note standing. You aware of the posture and know it. Aware of your posture and know it. Then about 5 or 6 times, you will turn back. Just turn naturally, turning. If you could not turn very slowly, you may mindful of the turning movement bodies and note like turning. Then be mindful standing again, standing about 5 to 10 times. Then you begin to walk right, left. When you're mindful of your walkings, if there's enough phenomenon, for example, you feel very itchy, if this sensation is very strong, you may not able to mindful your movements well. Then you have to stop walking and mindful and note that sensation, itchy, and so on. And in this meditation, mindful of mental states, such as thinking, planning, frustration, or sometimes you encounter certain mental hindrances, such as sleepiness, restlessness of mind. You have to be patient with these mental states, and you have to stop walking and note it as it duly occurs. Mindful of mental states is the first important factor to make progress. If meditators did not pay much attention to their mental state for thinking, wandering, planning, daydreamings, then they cannot develop stronger and stronger mindfulness and deeper concentration. So be mindful of the mental state is very important. Sometimes sometimes meditators may have to mindful and note certain hindrances, for example sleepiness or boredom, many times. When you're mindful and note your mental state, especially hindrances such as sleepiness, sluggishness of mind, or restlessness, it doesn't mean you are wasting your time. Sometimes some meditators think the mind always think of something nonsense. They thought they don't have to spend time on this nonsense. They bring their mind back, for example, to their walking meditation, or during sitting meditation, they bring their mind back to their basic object of sitting meditation. In that way, they are not practicing mindfulness meditation correctly. They are practicing mindfulness meditation like the way of samatha meditation. When you practice samatha meditation, you realize the mind is thinking or wandering away, you bring your mind back, concentrate your mind on your object samatha meditation again. But in the practice of mindfulness meditation or vipassana meditation, we want to realize the true natures of mental and physical phenomena as they really are. So you need to sometimes you need to practice patience when your mind is restless or falling into sleepiness and so on. When you can mindful and note, for example, sleepy, actually you are putting effort to develop your mindfulness from one moment to next moment. If you could overcome your hindrances by mindfulness, then you shall begin to make progress in your practice of mindfulness. So during walking meditation, whenever meditators realize that their mind has wandered away, or the mind is thinking of something, then it's important to stop the walking. They should not mindful of stopping. They should mindful of that mental object as soon as possible. So meditators may mindful and note left, right about 50 minutes, but they do not have to look at the clock. They learn to rely on their inner clock. If meditators always look at the clock or look at a watch, sooner or later the mind become more restless. So meditators have to learn to develop their inner clock. About 15 minutes later, they begin to mindful of 3 objects. In any formal walking meditation, meditators have to mindful left and right about 10 to 15 minutes. Then they mindful of lifting, pushing, dropping until the end of that session of walking meditation. So when meditators mindful lifting, pushing, dropping, they do not have to lift up their foot very high. They should be aware of lifting, pushing, dropping. So they lifting or pushing, dropping. Sometimes meditators are not able to note certain process of movements, then they just be mindful. For example, sometimes at the beginning of walking, meditators could not walk very slow. Sometimes they put the foot down quite fast. They have not make the mental noting, they already perceive touching. Then they should not note dropping, because the object had gone. So lifting or pushing slowly, or we are dropping, not dropping, lifting, pushing, dropping, until the end walking meditation. So during walking meditation, if there are other phenomena, for example, body phenomena or sensations such as itching sensation, or sometimes you feel very cold, then you may mindful note the coldness a few times and so on. Then meditators look ahead naturally, maybe 5 or 6 feet. They just look ahead naturally, but they should not focus their attention on the floor. They just look naturally. They should direct their attention to the movements. Meditation means you need to direct your attention to the object. You do not direct your attention, then the mind will be wandering here and there. So be mindful of lifting, pushing, dropping, until the end walking meditation. At the end walking meditation, it's important to carry forward your mindfulness and concentration from your walking meditation into your sitting meditation. If you will at the end walking meditation, you become unmindful. You walk to a place quite fast, or you sit down unmindfully. Then whatever mindfulness or concentration that you have developed in your walking, we can say will be gone. I believe those who have experience in this meditation, you might have heard a simile in this practice. The cultivation of mindfulness is like the ancient time where people had to rub two pieces of stick in order to produce fires. If you rub two pieces of stick for a short while and stop for a short while, then you rub again, you can never produce even the heat. So the mindfulness meditation is important to develop mindfulness from one moment to next moment, so that you are able to concentrate your mind from one moment to next moment, and able to develop experience of insight meditation from one moment to next moment. So walking meditation is very important to the sitting meditations. Then about sitting meditations, at the beginning of sitting meditation, meditators might not be able to perceive any strong phenomena or distinct objects. So meditators need not have to search for an object. We have to begin with an object that can be perceived by the meditators easily. So you might know this basic object or primary object of a sitting meditation. So the basic object or primary object of sitting meditation is the movements of abdomens. As long as we are alive, we have breath. As we breathe in, breathe out, the abdomen also move by itself, move naturally. For example, meditators may perceive the expansion of abdomens or contraction of abdomens. So this object is known as primary objects. The word primary here doesn't mean the most important object. The word primary is translated from the Pali word mula kamatana. Mula kamatana. Mula means at the beginning or at first. The word mula is quite similar to the Malay word mula. It helps you to begin your sitting meditation. But as you know, in English word primary also sometimes has a meaning of a beginning at first. But actually, if one who understands well the practice of four foundation of mindfulness, every object or every phenomenon is equally important. So we do not make a distinction that this is the primary object, others are the secondary object. So movement abdomens is merely an object that helps meditators to begin their sitting meditation. This abdominal movements is merely a conventional term. You may not find this term in the scriptures, but the scriptures call these movement abdomens as a wind element in the belly. Wind element in the belly. There are 6 types of wind elements. If you have chance, you study some of the discourses where the Buddha mentioned that there are these 6 kinds of wind elements, and one of the 6 kinds is a wind element in the belly. In Pali, it is known as Kuchi Seya Vata. Kuchi Seya Vata. So here, wind elements means movements or motion. only support, the nature support. You can sit with the upright postures because there is a support of wind element, internal and external, or inside and outside. So as long as we are alive, the abdomen will expand or move forward by itself, move inward. So we do not pay attention to the in-breath and out-breath. We need to direct our attention or awareness to perceive the movements. At the beginning of practice, meditators may not perceive the movement clearly, or sometimes they realize that they could not sense any movements, or they could only sense a very little movements. They did not have to force their mind to stay there. We have the alternative. We have another two basic objects of sitting meditation. These two basic objects are the sitting postures and the context of your postures. Sitting posture is also one of the objects of a mindfulness meditation. In the first foundations of are called Satipaṭṭhāna Sutta, mindfulness of body phenomena. There's a subject known as mindfulness of four postures: sitting, standing, walking, and lying down. So meditators could not perceive movements clearly, or they could not perceive any movements at all. Then they may mindful of their sitting postures, realizing that they are sitting with the upright postures, and note it as sitting. Or they should not visualize the form of the postures. Then they have to mindful of the context that they can find in their postures. You may find many different contexts in your postures. Usually we know it as touching. For example, contact of your lips, contact of your shirt touching the skin, touching your skin or your body. You place your hand on me, you may perceive there's contact on the left and on the right. The contact of your lower back with your cushion, and so on. But meditators have to choose two clear contexts where meditators can mindful note touching as touching. Sometimes meditators mindful of the touching of the lower back with the cushion. They could not perceive the touching so clearly because when they pay attention to that object contact or touching, they also feel other sensation, for the pressing or heaviness of the body. But if you, for example, when you're mindful of touching of your hand and knee, you can perceive touching is touching. Or some meditators put their hand on top of each other, they can feel touching is touching. So meditators may choose two clear contexts. For example, the contact the left hand with knee and know it as touching. Then be mindful the right one, the right contact, and know it as touching. Be mindful sitting again, sitting. So this basic object help meditators to develop mindfulness whenever there's no other stronger or more dominant phenomenon. If meditators did not guide their mind to this basic object, then the mind will be wandering, or sometimes meditators can fall into sleepiness. So touching is also is a concept, but every touching, every context consists of four material elements. Our body, in the ultimate realities, our body consists of four primary material elements. But as some meditators have not developed sharp mindfulness and deep vipassana concentration, they could not realize or see clearly the true natures of the elements. But they should not search for it. The most important thing is to develop their mindfulness, so that mindfulness is getting more and more attentive, precise, and energetic, and able to develop this attentive, precise mindfulness, energetic mindfulness for a longer and longer period of time. So every contact consists of 4 primary material elements. If meditators have developed strong vipassana samadhi, then they may realize one of the elements clearly. For example, heat or hot or hardness, and so on. But in this meditation, we are not only mindful of 1 or 2 objects. Our mind and body consists of many different phenomena. So when meditators mindful of the move abdomens, for example, when you feel pain, when you feel numb, on the first day, second day, or even up to 3rd or 4th days of retreats, sometimes some meditators experience a lot of physical pain or unpleasant sensation. So meditators need to practice patience. If possible, they do not change their postures. They should take the pain as an object. But meditators also need to find out or learn from their experience of their level of tolerance. You cannot tolerate the pains very much. You could sit more than 20 minutes or half an hour, then you feel the pain is unbearable to you. Sometimes you may stop your sitting and practice walking. So on the first day, second day of the retreat, sometimes meditators may spend more time on walking meditation. But when they begin to make progress in their meditation, they may be able to sit longer, and so on. So pain, meditators do not feel pain. Pain is not an object that meditators to become fear of. In this meditation, there's a well-known saying of pain is a key to the door of Nibbana. If you wish to realize Nibbana, then you need to take pain as your friends, because it helps you to realize Nibbana. You take pain as your enemies, then you may not able to realize Nibbana. But you need to practice patience. You know pain. Sometimes you feel that the intensity of the pain is getting stronger, and you find it difficult to make the mental noting. Then you may drop the noting temporarily, just merely mindful of the pain without noting. And it's important to know your mind when you're mindful of pain or any kinds of unpleasant physical sensations. You may know your state of mind when you're mindful of pain, for example, impatience, aversion, or even there's a desire to get rid of the pain, and so on. So pain helps you to know your own mind. If there's no pain, you only experience present feelings. Sometimes you're enjoying the present feelings. You may not know, you may not mindful of that present feeling or sensation. So pain is like a object waking up your mind. You may realize many different mental states: aversion, impatience, the strong desire want to move and so on. So meditators have to mindful of this, what we call mental reaction, aversion, dislike, impatience, desire to move, desire to stop, desire to give up, and so on. Meditators can deal with their mind well by being mindful of these mental states as they really are. They shall be able to make more progress. As long as meditators can remember the guidelines of practice, the guideline of mindfulness meditation is to mindful and note whatever object that has arise, that has appeared, has arisen at that present moment. But at the beginning of practice, it's difficult to follow that guidelines well. It's because mindfulness is still not developed. So when mindfulness is not developed, meditators may perceive more than one phenomenon. For example, sometimes you hear some sound, you feel pain, the mind is thinking of something, then you have to give priority to that mental state thinking. You have to note thinking until the thinking has disappeared by itself. Then you direct your mind back to the basic object. But sometimes the thinking has disappeared, you perceive a strong pain, then you should note pain, and so on. So the guidelines of mindfulness meditation say that meditators have to mindful and note the strongest body object or sensation. But when a meditator is mindful of a strongest object or body sensation, they realize the mind has been thinking or planning, then they have to mindful of that mental state. During sitting meditation, meditators also need to keep the posture upright, but they should not feel tension. They should not feel any kind of tightness of the postures and so on. Whenever the posture is not upright, for example, meditators realize that their posture is drooping or slouching or bending, then they have to straighten up their postures slowly with mindfulness. And in this meditation, we do not take external object as an object of mindfulness. In many discourses of Buddha, we can only develop insight, knowledge, or wisdoms by being mindful of our 5 aggregates. That 5 aggregates are called Rupa Khanda, or the aggregate of materiality. This is a Veda Khanda, aggregate feeling or sensation. Sanya Khanda, aggregate perception. Sankara Khanda, aggregate formation. And Vijnana Khanda, aggregate consciousness as objects of mindfulness meditation in order to develop wisdoms. So these 5 aggregates, in brief, constitute the mental phenomena, nama, and physical phenomena, rupa. But sometimes the mindfulness is not strong enough. The external sense object, or the sound or voice, has caught your attention or pull your attention away. Then sometimes you may have to mindful note hearing. If the sound is still persisting, you may ignore the sound, or you learn to be indifferent indifferent means you do not take interest in that external sound. For example, it's not possible to note hearing. You will hear the sound of the traffic, the noise of traffic all the time. It's merely an external phenomenon. So that's why meditators need to direct their mindfulness inwards. If meditators, for example, on the first day, second day of retreats, if they could not sit for 1 hour, they can sit for a shorter time. Then they can spend more time on walking meditations. This is a Satipaṭṭhāna Vipassana Bhavana. In other words, what meditators need to develop is known as Bhavana Maya Panya. There are 3 kinds of knowledge or wisdoms. The first is known as Sutta Maya Panya. The knowledge or the wisdom you gain by listening or hearing from others. It also includes the knowledge or wisdom you gain from your reading. Then the second type of knowledge or wisdom is known as Cinta Maya Panya. After reading or hearing the talk on the Dharma, you start to think or contemplate on it. This knowledge, these 2 types of knowledge, Sutta Maya Panya and Cinta Maya Panya, are gained without experience. It's not a first-hand experience. But in the practice mindfulness meditation, you want to develop Bhavana Maya Panya, the knowledge of wisdom that's gained through mental development or mental culture or those meditation. Only this type of Bhavana, this type of wisdom, Bhavana Maya Panya, enable you to overcome or to remove your own mental defilements. It's because this wisdom is gained from your first-hand experience, or first-hand knowledge. That's gained from first-hand experience. So here, during retreats, we do not need much what I call second-hand knowledge. So that's why in this meditation, sometimes the meditation teachers will advise meditators to put aside their Sutta Maya Panya, the knowledge or gain, knowledge and wisdom that will gain from hearing or listening from others, from reading. So in other words, you also need to put aside whatever preconception you have, whatever preconceived ideas you have about the meditation, about the practice of Satipaṭṭhāna Vipassana Bhavana. You have your own idea of practicing mindfulness meditation. Sometimes you may not be able to practice well. Similarly, you have to put aside your Cinta Maya Panya. So meditators also need to put aside the past experiences. The meditators intend to gain back the past experiences. They may not be able to practice well. We want to gain more and more new experiences, better experiences. We can say past experience also has the characteristics of anicca, arising and passing away. If you cling to your past experiences, that clinging hinders your own progress. Meditators, we can say like practice a piece of a paper without any writing. You have your own idea, your own thinking, how to develop my mindfulness. You may not be able to practice well and make progress. So now I shall explain briefly in Mandarin. It is a request from the organizer. to explain this practice briefly in Mandarin. 在这次的密集禅修营修行者是在修习四念处智慧禅有时也称为四念处毗婆舍那禅禅在巴利文称为巴瓦那巴瓦那的真正含义是一种新的培育，或是新的训练，新的开展我们是要培育三念毗婆舍那这个婆舍那巴萨那这个字的含义就是正确了知或是了悟这所谓的正确了知了悟必须借由亲身的体验才能够真正达到这种了悟了知毗它的含义主要是指身心现象的三种共性身心现象的三种共性就是无常、苦跟无我。换句话说，毗婆舍那就是指一种智慧，或是三法印的智慧借由亲身体验而获得三法印智慧三法印智慧就是正确了知或是了悟无常、苦、无我。所以为了获得三法印的智慧所以修行者就必须正确了解如何培育正念Satipaṭṭhāna就是指念处就是指四种念处身念处、受念处、心念处、法念处所以我们是在修习四念处，我们并不只是选择其中一个念处因为在我们的身心里有种种的不同的现象，并没有一种单一的现象，并没有一种的现象所以我们必须修习四念处那么在密集禅修的时候，修行者有三方面的练习就是指日常生活的正念行禅和坐禅所以修行者并不只是练习行禅和坐禅，其他时间如在吃早餐、午餐在沐浴洗脸等等都必须带着正念如果修行者在他禅修期间的日常生活时时遗漏观察遗漏观察就是换句话说不保持正念观察当下的每一个动作，他的正念就时常中断只要修行者不能够培育持续不间断的正念，他就不容易获得定在修习四念处的时候，修行者必须获得定称为瞬间定毗婆舍那禅的定巴利文就是指Kanika Vipassana Samadhi Kanika 就是瞬间或是刹那Vipassana 就是毗婆舍那所以只要修行者还没有培育瞬间定一段相当长的时间他就不能够获得毗婆舍那禅的经验或是一些智慧所以日常生活的正念也是简称为生活禅。生活禅的练习是相当重要 只有在日常生活，修行者是比较容易培育一种绵密的正念，或是瞬间的正念但是如果修行者想要培育绵密的正念，他必须考虑时间跟地点有时在经典的评论注释称为适宜觉知就是要知道这个时间这个地方适合还是不适合培育绵密的正念比如说在公用的地方，浴室，修行者不应该培育绵密正念，因为那是属于公用的地方。但是有时修行者在禅堂，跪在自己的坐垫，那是属于自己的地方，所以当时就尽可能培育比较绵密的正念所以刚才有做了一些示范比如说明天可以说是第一天的密集禅修第二天，当修行者要合掌的时候，并不是同时举起双手，他只是举起其中一只手，同时觉知这举手动作标记3次左右举这标记也是称为标明。标明本身并不是一种正念的培育，它只是一种工具培育正念的工具如果没有利用这个工具，不知道如何善用这个工具，修行者就不容易增长正念觉知的力量我们是要培育一种相当专注的正念专注准确很有精神正念其实正念这个字含义就是一种专一的觉知专一就是当下你的正念只是觉知一个现象但是在开始练习的时候，修行者不可能马上就能够保持一种专一的正念，在觉知当下一个现象。比如说你现在开始练习，可能在觉知脚步移动，在行禅的时候觉知脚步移动，同时听到环境的声音，种种的声音等等，这是因为你还不能够集中你的正念在当下一个现象的过程所以瞬间定并不是一种肤浅的定它是一种专一的正念所以这需要一段时间跟努力才能够培育这种专业正念，获得瞬间定或是刹那定所以在生活禅修行者必须逐步的慢下来。我们慢下来的原因，主要原因是要让我们培育正念。如果修行者的动作非常快、非常迅速，他的正念或者是说他的心跟不上快速的动作但是我们也提醒修行者必须能够逐步慢下来，因为在平时的生活我们的动作是非常迅速、非常快很可能走路的步伐也是非常快。当你来参加密集禅修，突然间想要慢下来，想要非常缓慢的在移动，那么你就必须付出很多心力去控制你的动作。所以你付出很多心力去控制你的动作，以便动作非常缓慢的进行。当时又必须做标记，又必须保持正念观察，你的心同时在做2-3项工作，所以当时可能就不能够保持相当准确正念在觉知 当下的一个现象的过程，或是当下的动作的过程所以修行者是逐步的慢下来所以刚才举的例子当你举手要合掌的时候，你举起其中一只手今天或是明天只是标记3次左右到后天你就尝试慢下来开始增加标记次数到4次左右等等那么有时在某些地方并不能够培育秘密正念，因为那个地方不适宜修行者培育秘密正念，如在洗手间、浴室等等我们特别强调生活禅的练习，是因为在生活禅修行者是比较容易培育瞬间的正念越来越明密的正念只有正念一直持续，修行者才有可能获得定因为瞬间定、刹那定修行者能够真的瞬间定、毗婆舍那禅定，是因为他能够培育明密的正念，瞬间正念一段相当长的时间如果修行者不能够培育瞬间正念，就不宜获得瞬间的定那么除了练习生活禅修行者大部分的时间是在练习行禅和坐禅每次行禅每次坐禅之前，修行者尽可能练习行禅1个小时每个修行者在开始练习行禅的时候首先站在行禅的一端他必须握住双手放在前面或是后面他觉知站立姿势他保持一种单纯正念，知道站正在站着，他不应该在心幻想或是想象站的形式站立的形象他也不该用一种方式他们称为扫描自己的色身我们是在培育一种单纯正念，站只是知道在站，或是在坐禅的时候必须观察坐知道正在坐着观察标记站立姿势大约5次到10次但是修行者不该去数他的标记的次数，他们在练习4念处我们不用数的方式数的方式是属于修习定禅的方式然后开始走修行者是努力的保持正念觉知脚板的移动，他并不是在观察整只腿的移动或是身体的移动，我们是要培育比较专注的正念觉知脚掌移动，所以当时正念是在觉知移动的过程察觉到左脚正在移动才能够标记左，但是他的正念是在觉知左脚移动，他不是在注意标记因为标记只是一个概念比如说左右举手的时候举它只是一个概念，它并不是真实法当我们在修习4念处的时候，我们是要了悟真实法左右步伐不应该太长也不该太短当在行禅的时候，修行者并不只是在观察脚步移动，如果色身上出现一个更加强烈或是明显的现象如痒他就应该觉知这个痒的感受如果他觉得他的心往外跑 往跑路，正在思维一件事情，回忆想起一件事情等等，他就应该即刻停下来，觉知想消失，才继续行禅。观察在心中浮现的现象，有什么称为心法？心法就是想、回忆、计划等等，乃至有时有些烦恼，如讨厌、不喜欢等等，所以观察心法是最重要。因为我们一直强调禅是一种心的训练，如果修行者不去观察当下升起的每个心法的现象，他不能够培育更深度的瞬间定。如果他察觉心是正在想这一件事情，他即刻把心带回来，观察脚步移动，或是在坐禅时候把心带回来观察腹部的移动。那么他练习方式正如止禅方式，止禅就是指定禅或是舍摩他禅，所以观察心法是很重要。观察左右大约10分钟，根据心理时钟，并不应该时常去看时间。观察左右大约10分钟，然后稍微慢下来，开始观察3个现象过程，就是提、推、放。当修行者要标记一个现象的过程，他必须能够察觉到这个现象已经出现了，比如说脚跟已经提起了，而且这个动作还没有结束，他才能够标记。有时一个动作已经结束，修行者还没有标记已经结束，他就不应该标记。比如说你觉知放下过程，还没有标记放，已经觉知到有接触，就不应该就不应该标记放，他就很自然提起后脚跟，提推放等等。行禅结束之后，修行者应该把他的正念定行禅从心当中培育出来的正念和定带入坐禅。如果他放松自己，没有保持正念，走他的座位，没有保持正念坐下，那么他可以说，他行禅的正念跟定可能就消失，因为他没有带着正念走去坐禅的地方，没有带着正念坐下来，所以在这个修行方法有一个很好的比喻，正如在古代当人要我们说钻木取火，如果他没有持续的做，就不可能获得这个火，所以钻木取火，他不断的摩擦2根木材，以便能够获得这个取火，所以同样的正念练习，只有他能够培育瞬间正念，才逐步获得瞬间定。有了瞬间的定，才能够获得一种瞬间的体验或者经验。所以坐禅，修行者必须带着正念坐下来，做好姿势之后闭上眼睛。在开始坐禅的时候，修行者可能不能够察觉到有什么特别明显现象，他就不该去寻找一个明显现象，他就应该引导他的正念去观察坐禅中的3个基本现象之一。这3个基本现象，有时在一些书籍成为主要的现象，但是其实它的含义并不是主要，它只是这些现象只是帮助修行者在坐禅的时候开始培育正念， 或是当没有其他更加明显的现象，修行者就应该保持正念观察这3个基本的现象。其实在休息4念处，每个现象的重要性都是同样的重要并不是说某一个现象特别重要。如果修行者能够保持正念观察当下一个现象，观察的相当专注准确，当下就可能获得一些智慧所以第一个基本现象就是指腹部的起伏，在经典称为腹间风只要我们还有生命，还有呼吸，腹部也会很自然的往外膨胀，往内收缩但是我们并不是在观察呼吸，我们是在观察腹间风。当我们在休息4念处，风就是指移动动作支撑或是支持因为有风大的支撑，我们才能够保持一种在做的时候能够做得很直很正直所以修行者在坐禅的时候，一开始可能就必须引导他的心去觉知腹部的膨胀收缩，但是有时修行者觉得这腹部的胀起收缩我们简称为起伏相当模糊或是觉得好像它的移动非常非常微弱，他就不应该强迫他的正念强迫他正念保留他正念在那个腹部他当时就可以转移正念去观察内外2个基本现象，尤其是坐的姿势觉知上半身正直标记坐，然后就观察身体的接触。我们在我们整个坐姿有许多接触地方，如口唇的接触，如果你把手放在膝盖上，左右边都有一个接触，臀部的接触，衣服的与皮肤的接触等等。但是修行者最好是选择比较明显接触，换句说他很容易觉知触为触。如果修行者观察臀部与坐垫接触，有时他在观察触的时候，同时感受到压或重的有这2种感受，他就不能够保持一种单纯的正念觉知触为触所以有时修行者可以选择比如说手背与膝盖接触那个接触是相当明显观察左边接触触，然后观察右边的触，又观察坐的姿势坐触。当修行者在观察坐触的时候，假设当时突然间腹部很自然的往外膨胀，他又观察胀等等也是在观察坐触，突然间感受到有刺痛的感受非常强烈，他就应该观察这刺痛的感受。那么这刺痛感受等等麻痹等等，我们有时简称为苦受。所以当修行者观察这些疼痛的感受或是苦受，他也必须同时培育耐心，同时也必须能够察觉到内心的一些反应如感觉到很烦，失去耐心或是有一种讨厌的心讨厌这个疼痛心中期盼或是期待这个疼痛感受尽快消失等等。所以疼痛能够让修行者有时更能了知他的心中的状况在面对这苦受，心中会出现什么状况所以这痛修行并不是说修行者应该害怕的它是一个很好的现象所以在这修行方法有一句话说，疼痛是开始这个涅槃之门的钥匙所以修行者必须保持耐心好像学习把 痛当成他是朋友并不是他敌人因为疼痛能够让修行者能够证入涅槃那么在坐禅观察心法也是相当重要想回忆有时有种种的障碍如昏沉就是打瞌睡在练习当中感觉到心无力无精打采等等他不应该把心带回来有时心一直在胡思乱想有什么时候想到一些不三不四的事修行者不应该打断这些思维或是想把心带回来有时修行者认为观察心法如想回忆只是在浪费时间其实观察心法是非常重要就是要进步的第一个重要条件有时修行者面对一些障碍进步的障碍如昏沉打瞌睡可能必须观察标记很多次一段时间等等他并不是在浪费时间他是在培育他的精进心正念跟定如果修行者不肯努力的去面对他的障碍他就不可能进步但是如果修行者能够以正念克服修行上的障碍他必定能够获得深度定和更加锐利的智慧所以修行者在禅修过程也必须要培育耐心毅力或者是恒心不轻易放弃有时修行者因为疼痛想要下坐修行者就要观察那个想下坐的欲望如果面对昏沉或者也是感觉到这种修行很无聊他必须多次的观察他也必须保持耐心去观察这些修行上的障碍所以这是四念处毗婆舍那禅在练习过程我们是想要获得修习智有3种智慧第一种就是听闻智从听闻开示的获得一些智慧或是知识也包括阅读一些佛书等等思考智就是听闻一些开示之后开始在自己的内心思考分析而获得一些智慧这些都不是属于从第一手经验带来的智慧它是一种第二手的知识在禅修期间必须放下如果修行者带着自己的观念自己的观点在练习就不容易进步我们要获得真的智慧成为修习智就是从禅修中尤其是智慧禅正念的培育所获得的一种第一手的智慧只有这种智慧修习智才能够去除自己的心中的烦恼断除心中的烦恼所以在禅修期间必须把听闻智思考智自己先入为主的观念尤其是对这种禅修方法的先入为主观念或是自己观点必须放下所以有句话说有时在禅修期间也必须把过去的经验放下过去的经验也可以说是无常已经过去了我们在练习当中正如一张白纸在练习只要正确了解培育正念的原则那么修行者能够付出足够精进心能够不间断培育正念获得越来越深度的毗婆舍那禅的定才能够获得更高的智慧So this is a brief instructions in English and Mandarin. So I wish all yogis be heedful. The word be heedful, apamada, also implies be mindful always. So that you can realize the teaching of the Buddha, Dharma, through your personal experience. We cannot realize the teaching of Buddha by listening or hearing from others or through own thinking, but we can only realize the teaching of Buddha, Dharma, through personal experience. That's through the practice of four foundation of mindfulness. So I wish all yogis be heedful, be mindful always, so that you can realize the teaching of the Buddha, the Dharma, through your personal experience, and able to abandon or remove your mental defilements and attain enlightenment eventually.
Sadhu, sadhu.